It's there as a threat to keep you in line. And so every moment of my job was a fight. But I wasn't as afraid of homelessness as I was afraid of being stuck. If this video was recommended to you, you may have seen others like it. Homeless people talking about their experiences being homeless, and a lot of them even expressing that they enjoy being homeless, or that they accepted it, or even that they chose it. So why is this happening? Well, I am one of those people. I didn't choose to be homeless initially. In fact, I worked many jobs over the course of my adult life and attempted to work toward what I was told by everybody around me was the normal life, right? The way to stability, the way that you take care of yourself and be a good, productive citizen. But I couldn't hold a job because of burnout. I had a lot of jobs. I really tried. I really tried as hard as I could. And every time I quit a job, I really wanted to not quit and to keep that job. But I just couldn't do it. I was burnt out. And what is burnout exactly? It's not just a sense of tiredness and needing to rest. That fatigue comes from the fact that work is being done without an appropriate award. People enjoy working. Just the act of being alive is work, and it's invigorating. It can be really fun. People do difficult things for fun all the time. So it's not just the fact that the job is difficult. It's not just the fact that it's work. It's the fact that it's meaningless. It feels like a trap. It feels like you're running on a treadmill and you're not going to go anywhere, and you're going to be this way for the rest of your life. Now, whether or not that's actually true is up for debate. But on the subject of meaning, every person individually creates meaning out of their life. You have your personal values, you have your ideals, you have the way that you want the world to be. And for many of us, working a dead-end job so that we can pay rent and buy food to continue living so that we can continue working our dead-end job, it holds no value. There's no meaning that you could get from it. And so even though every time I quit a job, I really wanted to keep it, my intuition guided me toward quitting the job. Every time. Even when I understood that the consequences of quitting my job would eventually end up with me being homeless, I still couldn't bring myself to keep the job. I was afraid of homelessness, but I wasn't as afraid of homelessness as I was afraid of being stuck for my entire life. Homeless people are natural philosophers. Because we're not bound to any singular location or even singular lifestyle, we see the world from many different perspectives, as long as we're open to it. At the same time, homeless people are often conceptualized as dirty, lazy, crazy, and aggressive. Even Diogenes, possibly the most famous homeless person you've ever heard of, was both respected and reviled by the people he lived around. And this is a big contradiction. It seems natural in a society driven by productivity to hate homeless people, to say homeless people have no place in this society. They're not providing anything, they're not contributing, so they don't belong here. So where does this sense of respect for the homeless come from? Is it just pity? I think pity plays a big part of it for some people. But also I think homeless people are respected because of the strength and courage it takes to reject the materialistic world, to live minimally and to give up everything. As soon as I realized that and really internalized it, I understood that being homeless is a way for me to live a lifestyle in accordance with my values. In fact, hatred for homeless people only comes about in a culture that overvalues materialism and money. In a capitalist economy, homelessness actually exists as a feature of capitalism. It is a threat, and it's a way to keep people working even when they don't really want to work. Now, I'm not going to go into like Marxist theory in this video, but this is a fact that homelessness is a feature of capitalism, whether intentional or accidental. It's there as a threat to keep you in line. And so choosing to be homeless is actually something of a revolutionary act. It's a radical act and a push against the materialistic society that values production and consumption over everything else. So the reason my intuition was guiding me through the experience of burnout to being homeless is because I deep down knew that I don't value production and consumption the same way that my society does. Once I understood that, I stopped feeling like a failure. I stopped feeling lazy. I understood and recognized all of the work that I do just to keep myself alive in this situation. And I rejoiced because I finally understood that I've been doing the right thing the whole time. There are reasons to fear homelessness. There is a separation from the rest of society that is inherently going to be there, and it's very difficult to bridge that gap. And there are risks, inherent risks to being homeless, especially if you're in a country where it's illegal, or many of the actions that homeless people take to sustain their lives are illegalized. It's not for everybody. If you're elderly, physically disabled in some way, that's going to add a lot of difficulty. If you have a family, if you have attachments, that's also something that you may not want to sacrifice. If you have a severe mental illness like schizophrenia or something like that, it could be dangerous to find yourself in a situation where it's difficult to get support and your condition could be stigmatized. So it's definitely not for everybody. And if you really enjoy consumerism and you just really want to live that kind of lifestyle, being homeless is not the way to get there. But if you've gotten to this point in the video and you've at any point thought, wait a minute, how is this guy so much happier than me, even though he's in a materially worse situation? And if any of this resonates with you, I'm not going to say go become homeless, like quit your job and leave your house and pack a bag and just leave. I'm not going to say that. But maybe you can proceed in life with a little less fear of homelessness and a little, take your job a little less seriously. If you're doing something that's meaningless for the express purpose of gaining money so that you can continue to live, don't allow yourself to be trapped in that situation if you don't have to. Realize that there are other options and there are other ways to live. I think doing it in a vehicle is the best way. I'm fundraising for a van. There's going to be a link for that in the description. And I'm going to put all of the amenities of a house in the van. It's going to have electricity, it's going to have running water and a shower and a toilet, and it's going to have a kitchen. It's going to have everything I need for it to essentially be a home. I don't want to be attached to any particular place because that's where all of my things are. Having all of my possessions and having my home on wheels and able to go with me wherever I want to go means that I have complete freedom. That's the American dream, right? Complete freedom. Even living in my car now, I've spent a lot of time living in parking lots because that's where cars tend to be stored a lot of the time. But when the parks are open, I spend most of my time at parks, state parks, nature parks. I go hiking on trails, I go swimming in the lake. So I still need money to live because I live in a place where that's the reality and I can't get out of this country in any way that matters. But there's other ways to make money other than having a job. My relationship with money was really bad for a while. I really hated money, and I still kind of do. I don't like it all that much. The concept of it really bothers me on a fundamental level. But I still need money to live, so I had to come to terms with that. When I first started begging for money, I realized something about having a job, which is that when I had a job, I was in an adversarial relationship with the company that I worked for. This corporate entity would have paid me less if it was legally allowed to. I was getting paid by something that has no soul, and therefore was only paying me out of legal obligation to do so. And so every moment of my job was a fight. It was how little work can I do and still get paid and still make a profit for this company so that they don't get rid of me? How do I stay profitable as a worker while still respecting myself? And this was really another source of the burnout, is that every moment of every day that I worked a job was a fight, and I was tired of it. I didn't want to fight anymore. And when I was begging for money, holding up a cardboard sign on the side of the road, there were people that would drive by and, yell insults and things like that. But that's nothing like fighting against a corporate entity with no soul. People that are misguided and have some kind of hatred in their hearts, I can deal with that. I can tolerate that. And on top of that, the money that I was getting was given to me by people that wanted to give me that money. In fact, in many cases, they would have given me more if they could have. And that's the kind of relationship I want to have with money. There are ways that I can work a job and still have that relationship with money, which is why I'm trying to become a content creator. I would like to earn money mainly through Patreon and through donations, essentially. I will tell stories and be myself, and if you think I deserve money, you can give it to me. This is the definition of a mutually beneficial exchange. Working a job is not mutually beneficial. It's very lopsided. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, or if you're close to living paycheck to paycheck, a medical emergency, a layoff, a car accident, landlords forming a cartel to raise your rent prices, you are one thing away from being in my situation. And if that scares you, turn that fear into anger and compassion. Be kind to homeless people and give them a little money. Keep a care package in your car so if you see somebody panhandling, you can give them some supplies that might make the next week of their life significantly easier. If everybody in this world took a little bit of the excess that they have and gave it to somebody that doesn't have enough, then everybody would have enough. So if you like this video, consider giving it a like and sub to the channel to follow my story as I move out of this tiny car and get myself into a better situation. Check the links in the description if you want to support me in any way. I'll have the van fundraiser down there and a couple places, my Patreon, and a couple places where you can do a one-time donation if you'd like to. If you have any questions about my experiences being homeless or anything I've said in this video, leave a comment. I'd love to talk to you guys about it. And be kind. Be kind to each other. Thank you so much for watching and have a peaceful day. So I still need money to live because I live in a place where it's illegal to steal things. So